My top 10 favorite JDM cars. This was probably one of the hardest brainstormings I've ever done for a video, and I think still people are going to be triggered. Because let me tell you what's not in my top 10. The Sultan RS Classic, the Vector, the ZR350, the Jester Classic, Silvestre, S95, many cars are not on this list. You can let your anger out in the comments, I understand. Let's get started. In 10th place, the Kuruma. Now, a lot of people might be thinking, hell, you wasted a spot with the Kuruma. How could you have the Kuruma and leave out the ZR350 or the Vector or the RS or everything that was in the intro? But the Kuruma is one of those cars, still to this day, looks amazing in GTA. And it's not even that close to the Evo 10. This thing looks amazing. Till this day, I always see it in car meets. They've updated the car, they gave it new liveries. You know, when you load this car, the fitment is good. It's always been appreciated amongst the car culture in GTA. And from the community poll I did on my channel, a lot of people put this on their top 3 JDM cars of GTA. And think about the measly 95,000 you have to spend. That's like the average ammo refill for your weapons. The Futo GTX, brought out in a period where we were just overwhelmed with cars that everybody wanted. The Tuners DLC was a DLC where so many cars people wanted actually came at the same time, unlike the last DLC, which was like the opposite. The Futo GTX, I mean, it 1.2 million, crazy increase from the Futo. And that's 1.2 million trade price as well. It's 1.59 million if you don't have the trade price. Because it is a tuner's vehicle, you've got the low stance option, but this car has 207 modifications, and people can finally do their initial D build, and there's so many people that have already done that. I mean, the car literally comes with the livery, inspired by the initial D one. And yeah, all I was thinking through this whole video was just I need to change up this car. This color does not suit this classic build. Now the Kanjo SJ. I think everyone knows how modifiable this car is, and that's the big thing about this car. There's so many modifications, so many livery options, color options, different type of builds, stance builds, wrap builds. The amount of combinations with this car is like no other. It is a modern car, so it does have price tag of 1 million, and that's the trade price, and 1.37 million as the non-trade price. The car has 240 modifications. It's actually one of the more modifiable cars in the game. And I'm here stuck in this thought process. Would I rather had GTA bring this out ages ago as a car we would have wanted, or any of these cars on this list? If they brought it out in like 2016 or something, they wouldn't have brought it with this many modifications. So maybe it was a good thing that these cars came so late. I don't know, what do you think? In 7th place, the Warrener. I think all the car people understand why this is on the list. For people that are not into classics will probably be like, why have I put this car on the list? And this is one of those cars that surprised me very early on in GTA. The amount of modifications it had, the amount of homologation it had. This car had no reason to be in the game, but yet it was. And it also had the early GTA prices with 120k. Still quite a lot, but back then, easily over 1 million by now. The vibe I'm on with this car is when I'm just going to a car meet and I want to take it easy. No showing off, no racing, just casually driving. And I have a few builds, and this build is exactly for that. In 6th place comes the Sultan RS. And need I say anything about the Sultan RS? So many people know this car. It's top 3 for many people. It's a Benny's vehicle. It was one of the first Benny's cars, and it just opened everyone's eye to what is possible in tuning in GTA. I think it opened up a new world where we realized that this is now possible, and then we started wanting more cars that were Benny's cars, because this left a crazy imprint in everyone. Everyone wanted a Sultan RS. Everyone had a Sultan RS. And if you went to car meets back then, for the first like 3 years of this car being released, there was always a Sultan RS in the car meet. The normal Sultan is 12,000, and it's only 795,000 to upgrade this to the Sultan RS. Everyone knows about the modifications, and the sound of this car is just beautiful. The 190Z coming in 5th place. I think a lot of people were not expecting this to be on the list, but then you understand why it's on my list, because you've probably seen this build so many times. This car I always have out, and yeah, I love what GTA have done with this car. And the amount of detail you can see in the cinematics, the amount of detail they actually put in this car, which you don't realize. Price being 900k was kind of a shock back then. It was released with the Doomsday Heist, but then when you purchased it, you looked at the options, you realize it's soon worth it. And then sooner or later, you have 3 of them like I do. The Postlude coming in 4th place. Now, I keep repeating this, that you probably didn't guess that this car would be on the list. But I think in this case, people wouldn't believe that it'd be high up on the list. They'll probably be, 10, 9th place. But this is another car. This is like the Warrener. It has that elegance and class, but then a whole host of modifications you can do to it. The trade price actually, 982,000, which is really close to the 190Z. But then the non-trade price is 1.31 million. But today's standards, I think that's an adequate price. For if you actually go and modify this car, you'll realize what I mean and how good this car actually is. It's got the crazy exhaust modifications like the Futo GTX, crazy hood options, crazy, you know what? All the modifications are crazy for this car. But with crazy amount of modifications comes a variety of builds. You can make this car look like your own. Okay, the Intruder in third place. How is the Intruder top 3 JDM cars for you? I really cannot explain this one. I have 4 Intruders and it is hard to explain. The only logical thing I can think of is the fact that it's the only chaser in the game. But I don't know why, I just love this car. We actually had an RP, a roleplay server on PS4, and the Intruder for a while was the only car I had, and I did not care. I wanted that car. It just made the whole experience feel so good and nice. A car that you can get from the street that has a fair amount of modifications for back then. I love the Intruder, and it's a weird one because I can't explain so many reasons why. The Remus. If you've been watching this whole video in order, you probably were waiting to see the Remus and thinking, where is the Remus? Well, it's here, up in second place. Need I say why? This car looks amazing. GTA did a crazy good job with combining the S chassis, making it 1 million as a trade price and 1.37 million. And I think this is so fair because, come on, Rockstar know that this is going to be one of the cars that was going to be bought a lot. It was almost like Rockstar wanted to make it up to the car community when they released it. They wanted to make sure they ticked every box. With 239 modifications, it seems like you can have nearly every sort of alteration of builds. Being able to stance it. I don't know who this car disappointed. No one got disappointed with this car. This is a car I think we owe a huge thank you to Rockstar for adding. I don't know what would knock the LG Retro off its throne. I think this, for like 75% of people, is probably the best car in GTA period. Never mind just a JDM list. Another crazy eye-opener when it was released, and it kind of shown the skills of Rockstar and what they could do. This car back then, I mean, we all know it was a Benny's car, but it had 225 modifications. I think that just about squeezes it on the top 10 list of modifications for JDM cars. It's still a lot of modifications to this day. It's just a crazy nice car. No disappointments at all. And probably had so many car people just hopping back on GTA when it released. And this is the car that even if you went out to buy a PS4 or Xbox One to modify this car only, you still wouldn't be disappointed. Who doesn't? I mean, comment in the comment section if you do not have an LG Retro. Actually, don't comment in the comment section because you'll probably get some threats coming your way. It's a well-known car and everyone must have it if they've not had it, which is no one. I get that there's probably a lot of people that don't agree with my list and think other vehicles should have been added instead. But if you do think that, don't just tell me what you think I should have added. Tell me what I should replace in this list. So if you think the Kanjo should have been added, say I would have added the Kanjo instead of the Kuruma. I think then it's more easier to understand your point. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this and see you guys in the next one.